It may be small, but this relic holds a powerful story of courage, sacrifice, and the heroes who soared above us. At first glance, it looks like just a simple object, worn, unassuming, almost forgotten. But beneath the surface lies a powerful legacy. This artifact is a silent witness to the skies once filled with thunder, courage, and sacrifice. It carries the memory of fearless pilots who defied the odds, danced with death, and changed the course of history. Not for glory, but for something far greater. Every scratch tells a story, every detail echoes a life lived at full throttle in service of something bigger than themselves. This episode features a find that is incredibly special to me for two deeply personal reasons. It was the very first military relic I ever uncovered, and more importantly, it symbolizes my grandfather, who wore one just like it with pride during World War II. When I realized what I had pulled from the earth, I was overwhelmed. It nearly brought me to tears. In that moment, it didn't feel like chance. It felt like I was guided to it, as if my grandfather, who has since passed, was leading me to this powerful reminder of his life, his service, and his story.
Okay, we'll take that. It's a very high tone. Oh, what's that? What is that? Oh my god. What is this? Oh, you guys. I think this might be a button. Oh my goodness.
I can't believe that right there in my hand is a Royal Canadian Air Force uniform button, dating back to the Second World War. The Royal Canadian Air Force was officially established in 1924, but it wasn't until World War II that it became a major force. Over 200,000 men and women served under the RCAF during the war, defending the skies over Europe and training thousands of pilots through the British Commonwealth Air Training Plan, right here on Canadian soil. This button would have been proudly worn on a service dress uniform, possibly by a pilot, a mechanic, or a radar operator. The raised eagle and crowned insignia symbolized honor, duty, and sacrifice. Just imagine the stories this could tell. Long flights, cold barracks, briefings before battle. When I hold this in my hand, I'm not just holding metal. I'm holding a piece of someone's life, their service, and their story. This is why I metal detect, not just for the treasure, but for the connection. If this button could talk, what would it say? Who wore it? Where did they serve? One thing's for sure, it's not just a relic, it's a reminder of courage, of history, and of all that lies beneath the surface. The standard issue Royal Canadian Air Force service dress during World War II was a blue-gray wool uniform, inspired by the Royal Air Force, but distinct in tone and detail. It typically included a jacket, often called a tunic, trousers, a collared shirt, tie, and either a wedge cap or service cap. The tunic had 4 pockets buttoned up the front with the RCAF buttons. The buttons were brass or anodized aluminum, featuring the crowned eagle and the RCAF inscription. The insignia featured rank stripes on the sleeves, along with wings or trade badges displayed on the chest or upper arms. Most airmen wore the side cap or wedge cap embroidered with the RCAF cap badge. The button is one of the most iconic features. It typically featured a raised eagle in flight, surmounted by a king's crown, with the letters RCAF below. The king's crown signifies it was issued before 1953 during the reign of King George VI. Made of brass or aluminum, depending on the production year, these buttons were polished regularly and proudly worn. They fastened the tunic and were also found on greatcoats and dress uniforms. The rear gunner, often referred to as the tail end Charlie, was perched in the tail turret, isolated from the rest of the crew, surrounded by plexiglass and armed with 4 .303 Browning machine guns. His job was simple in principle, but deadly in practice: defend the bomber from enemy fighters. Conditions in the tail turret were brutal. No armor, no heat. Temperatures could plummet to -40°C at high altitude. Oxygen was supplied through a mask, and frostbite was a constant risk. Gunners often wore electrically heated suits, but even those sometimes failed. He entered the turret through a narrow crawlway and stayed in position for an entire mission, sometimes up to 8 hours, completely alone, facing backward into the darkness. German night fighters often attacked from behind. The rear gunner had just seconds to spot them and open fire. He wasn't just the eyes of the bomber, he was its last line of defense. Many rear gunners were young, some barely out of their teens. One wrong move, one missed threat, the bomber and the lives of all 7 crew could be lost. Rear gunners faced staggering casualty rates. In fact, it was one of the most dangerous roles in the entire Allied Air Force. Finding a Royal Canadian Air Force button today is more than uncovering a piece of metal. It's uncovering a piece of someone's life. A piece of Canadian history. Each button tells the silent story of a young man or woman who stepped forward when the world was in turmoil. So when you hold a Royal Canadian Air Force button in your hand, you're not just holding a uniform fastener, you're holding the memory of service, bravery, and sacrifice. To all who served in Royal Canadian Blue, we remember you.